the week off. I've kept this story buried for a long time, not because I was scared no one would believe me, but because a part of me hoped it would fade away, that if I didn't speak it, maybe it would feel less real. But silence doesn't erase memories. It only gives them room to haunt you. Before my life became a blur of screens, cables, and back-end code in New York's IT world, I was just a college student trying to survive one shift at a time. My name's Harry. And back then, I was working part-time at a McDonald's, the kind that stays open late and draws in every type of person after 10 p.m., from cranky night shift workers to the eerily quiet ones who just want coffee and shadows. I took the job to help pay for school and escape a childhood I don't like revisiting, the kind of past that sticks to your skin no matter how many showers you take. But this story isn't about that. This is about a guy named Jeff. Jeff was the new crew member. First week in, he was already making friends. He had this light about him. Funny without trying, always up to jump on the headset during a rush, made even the slowest shift fly by. Everyone liked him. He'd walk in and slap your shoulder like he'd known you for years. But he wasn't fake, he meant it. He was grounded. Talked about his mom's cooking like it was a Michelin-starred restaurant. Said he still played Mario Kart with his little sister when he visited home. One morning while we were opening the store together, me cleaning the soda fountain, him restocking the napkins, I said something casual. "You'll see. After close tonight, there's going to be a situation with Marcus." He squinted. "Marcus, our manager?" "Yeah." Jeff tilted his head. "What kind of situation?" "You'll see," I said, and left it at that. That night came. We closed the store. Around 1:15 a.m., a woman showed up outside, screaming, pounding on the glass. Red-faced, wild-eyed. She wasn't there about food. She was shouting Marcus's full name, saying things that made the air feel heavier by the second. Stuff about betrayal, about her husband, about secrets that weren't supposed to come out. Marcus froze. I'd never seen him that pale. Security was called. Then police. Jeff just stood there in disbelief as the scene unfolded, his eyes darting from her to Marcus, to me, and back again. The next day, Jeff asked me straight up, "How'd you know that was going to happen?" I gave a half smile. Sometimes I just know things. He brushed it off at first, but a few days later we were back on shift together, and I casually nodded toward a guy, sitting alone in the middle booth. Jeff followed my gaze. "What about him?" I shrugged. "Just the news tonight." Jeff raised an eyebrow. "You messing with me again?" Later that night I got a text from him. "Bro, he was on the 10 o'clock news. I'm freaking out. That guy we saw earlier, he got arrested in a raid tonight. Major drug bust. Whole apartment loaded with cocaine, pills, even unlicensed firearms. Cops said he was running it under the radar for months." That was the turning point. Jeff stopped treating it like a joke. One night on break, he pulled me aside behind the store, near the dumpsters. "What's going on, Harry?" he asked. "You're not just guessing. You know stuff. What is this?" I hesitated, but he deserved the truth. So I told him about the visions. Not ghosts, not dreams, just flashes, images in my head. They'd hit randomly, like a migraine with a movie attached. Always specific, always real. He looked rattled but curious. "Can you stop them?" "I've tried," I said. "I really have. But every time I've tried to change something, it just happens another way. Like the timeline corrects itself. Maybe I'm not supposed to change anything. Maybe I'm just supposed to see it." Jeff didn't say much after that, but I could tell the gears were turning. About a week later, I told Jeff that he should take a week off. "Why, did you see anything?" he said. I said, "No. I feel like you deserve a break." And he said, "I was thinking of taking some time off to visit home anyway. I think that's a great idea." Spend time with family. Said he felt like he hadn't seen them properly in a while. So he asked a week off to our manager. Our manager approved the request, and just like that, Jeff was gone for a week. He still texted me during that time, sent me photos of him and his dad fishing at some lake. Caught nothing, still best day I've had in years. Another message. Helped mom cook dinner. Burnt the garlic bread. She still hugged me like I won a medal. And later, stayed up late with my sister watching old horror movies. She screamed so loud mom came in thinking we were being robbed. It was like he was soaking it all in, like he felt how precious it was. When he returned the next week, he came up behind me during a shift, threw his arm around my shoulder and said, "Thanks, man. For real, I haven't laughed that much in forever. Felt like everything was in the right place, like I was living instead of just working. I'll never forget it. I patted his back. You deserved that time. The next night was quiet. He offered to drop off a coworker after closing, took a longer route to avoid construction. Another car ran a red light, hit the passenger side full force. Jeff died on the scene. I got the call the next morning. At first, I just stared at the wall, not even blinking. I didn't cry right away. I couldn't. I was numb, not surprised, just shattered. Because here's the part I never told anyone. Not Jeff, not Marcus, not even his mom at the funeral. I knew. I saw it. A week before it happened, I saw the twisted metal, the flickering hazard lights, the crushed McDonald's name tag that landed in a ditch. But I didn't say anything, because I knew there was nothing I could do. I couldn't stop it. Couldn't save him. All I could do was buy him time. Time to feel something good. Time to be with the people who mattered. And I made that choice without asking for permission, because if I had told him, I would have taken that peace away from him. He would have lived his last days in fear. At the funeral, his mom hugged me and said he couldn't stop talking about that week at home, how happy he was, how alive he felt. I think about that all the time. About how the most important moments in life aren't the ones that stretch out endlessly. They're the ones that make you feel everything in just a few days. And I've come to accept something. Life is short. And no matter what you see, no matter what you believe, it won't always give you answers. It won't always give you control. Not even supernatural gifts can rewrite what's been written. But there's always a reason, even for the unexplainable. So if you're lucky enough to have time with the people you love, use it. Don't wait for a vision or a warning. Don't assume tomorrow will always be there, because the truth is, being careful isn't always enough. But sometimes, having faith is. The stare. I used to work at McDonald's 3 years ago when I was still in college. I was trying to stay afloat, paying rent, buying groceries, doing whatever it took to avoid calling my parents for help. I hated being told what to do with my life, and working part-time was my way of holding on to some independence. My name's Aaron. What I'm about to share with you isn't just another late-night shift story. It wasn't some drunk customer or a weird guy asking for extra ketchup. What happened that night genuinely changed the way I see the world. I've never been the same since, and to this day, I still wonder how it happened or how it can be real. I don't know what it was, but it wasn't normal, something I still can't explain. So it was a Tuesday night. I remember because Tuesdays were always slower than the weekends, but busier than Mondays. Enough foot traffic to keep the place alive, but not enough to feel overwhelmed. I was manning the front counter while two of my coworkers were rotating between the drive-thru and the grill. It must have been around 7:30 p.m. when the boy first showed up. He was small. Couldn't have been older than 10 or 11. Skinny frame, dusty jeans, oversized shirt. He had a handful of wilting flowers in one hand and a melted candle in the other. He stood just outside the door, not saying anything at first, just looking around. We'd seen kids like him before, selling random things, asking for change. Most customers ignored them, a few would give $1 or $2, and eventually the security guard would gently tell them to move on. That's usually how it went. He came inside a few minutes later. Quiet. Not a word. Just walked past the soda machine and stood near one of the side windows, holding the flowers down by his side. The candle had gone out by then. No one really minded. Some of the regulars barely even noticed. And honestly, most of us working didn't care. We'd all seen worse. He wasn't bothering anyone. But then a group of college kids walked in, 6 or 7 of them. 4 guys, 3 girls. Loud, dressed sharp. You could just tell they came from money. Probably drove something expensive and wore clothes that screamed, "Look at me." They were laughing, tossing fries at each other before they even ordered. The moment one of them saw the boy, though, the tone shifted. "Ugh, why is he even in here?" One of the girls said loud enough for half the store to hear. "Shouldn't someone make him leave?" Another guy added, waving over our security guard. The guard walked over to the boy and gently placed a hand on his shoulder. "Hey, bud, you can't stay in here, all right?" The boy didn't argue, didn't say anything at all. He just nodded and walked out. But he didn't go far. He stood just outside the window, right next to the table where the college kids had sat down. He didn't blink, didn't move, just stared. Expressionless. No anger, no sadness, just that same blank stare. It was unnerving. I couldn't stop looking at him. The way he locked onto them, not like someone begging to be let back in, more like someone observing. About 5 minutes later, one of the guys from the group got up and headed toward the restroom. Less than a minute after that, two of the girls rushed in the same direction. One was already covering her mouth and the other looked pale as chalk. Before we could even process what was going on, one of the remaining guys stood up suddenly and vomited right there on the table. The last girl in the group started twitching, hard. Her arms flailed and she hit the tiled floor like a rag doll, convulsing. It all happened in maybe 90 seconds. The entire restaurant went silent. Even the fryer seemed to stop sizzling. People stood up, someone screamed. Our manager ran to the phone and dialed 911. The girl who collapsed was shaking violently, her eyes rolled back. One of the boys who followed the others to the restroom came out, soaked in water, his face drained of all color. He just kept saying, "She's not breathing. She's not breathing." While everyone scrambled, customers trying to help, coworkers yelling for towels, the guard holding back a small crowd, I just stood there, frozen, watching. Because through the window, the boy was still there, still staring, unmoving. His eyes never left the table where it all started. And then he was gone. Not walked away, not ran off, just gone. I looked down to check on the girl on the floor, and when I looked back up, the sidewalk was empty, like he'd melted into the air. When the paramedics arrived, they stabilized two of them and rushed them out. The third girl, the one who had collapsed, regained consciousness but couldn't speak. She just cried and shook. The cops came later, asked some questions, looked around, but there was nothing they could pin it on. The food was checked. The kitchen was inspected. Everything came up clean. The next day, their families stormed in, said they were going to sue, said we poisoned their kids, that we had let a vagrant inside and let him do something to them. But there were other students eating that night. Same food, same drinks, and they were fine. And here's where it gets strange. The only ones who had any reaction were the ones who were loud, the ones who mocked the boy, the ones who insisted on kicking him out, the others in the dining room, the ones still scrolling through their phones, half listening to their friends. They didn't even look up when he walked in. And they were all fine, not even a stomach ache. I've tried replaying that night over and over again in my head. Did someone spike their food? No. All of them had different meals. Fries, McChicken, a couple Big Macs, some milkshakes. No pattern, no motive. So what was it then? Some kind of poison gas? A freak allergic reaction? Or something else? I know how this sounds. I know it all sounds crazy, but I also know what I saw. The stare, the silence, the sequence of events, and the way he vanished, like the moment he was finished, he didn't need to be here anymore. Maybe he wasn't selling anything. Maybe he wasn't asking for help. Maybe he was just watching, seeing how people react, testing who still had their humanity intact. No one saw him again. Not in our store. Not in the plaza. No name, no missing child report, nothing in the news. But sometimes late at night, I wonder where he is now. If he's standing outside another restaurant, holding another candle, watching and waiting. I don't know what he was. I don't know how he did what he did. But I know what I felt. A coldness I've never felt before. Like the air itself was watching me, judging me, weighing me. And I was lucky enough not to be found guilty. This wasn't a prank. This wasn't an allergic reaction or a coincidence. It was real. And if I didn't see it with my own eyes, I wouldn't believe it either. But I did. I saw the boy. And now, I believe there are things out there that don't need to touch you to hurt you. They just need to see you. And once they do, there's no going back. My date. I'm Justin. Not Bieber. More handsome than he is. Just kidding. Kind of. This happened about 6 months ago, and I still don't have a solid explanation for it. I've told the story to maybe 3 people, and I always get that same reaction. Uncomfortable laughter at first, then a strange silence, like they realize halfway through that this isn't some exaggerated joke. Let me take you back to the night it all happened. So, I met this girl online. Her name was Missy. We started talking through Facebook. You know how it is. Memes, late night convos, light flirting. We hit it off fast. Her profile looked real. Photos that weren't overly polished, a believable number of friends, normal comments. She wasn't posting anything weird, just selfies, some Starbucks pics, and a lot of sarcastic captions. Totally my type. After a few weeks of talking, we decided to meet in person. Not a big fancy date, just something low-key so we could break the ice. I suggested McDonald's. Nothing romantic, I know, but it was halfway between our neighborhoods, and I figured it would be a chill, no-pressure place to hang out. She was down with it. We planned to meet at 9 p.m. I got there around 8:45 early, just in case. I pulled into the lot on my motorcycle and immediately felt that weird, quiet McDonald's vibe. You know what I mean? Like when there's only 2 cars in the lot and you can hear the ice machine louder than the music? Anyway, I walked in, grabbed a Coke, and found a booth near the far corner of the dining area right next to the windows. The place was maybe 20% full. A few people were scattered in the booths, one guy on a laptop, a couple with a kid, normal stuff. At exactly 9:03, I got a message from Missy. "Hey, I'm so sorry. Running late, about an hour. Hope you don't mind." I thought about leaving, but I didn't really have anything else to do. So I replied, "No worries, I'll wait." She sent back a heart emoji and said, "You're sweet. See you soon." So I waited. Around 9:08 or 9:10, I looked up and she was there, just sitting across from me. She looked exactly like her profile. Like, exactly. Wavy black hair, soft brown eyes, maroon sweater, black jeans, light perfume that smelled like vanilla. She was smiling, and for a second, I actually wondered how she got there so fast without me noticing. I blinked and said, "Missy?" She laughed. "You didn't think I was gonna ghost you, did you?" We both laughed, and she asked what was good here. I offered to grab her a McChicken and fries, and she nodded. I went up to the counter, ordered our food, McChicken, fries, and I grabbed a 10-piece nugget for myself. The total came out to $13.76. We talked for nearly an hour. She asked me questions I didn't even realize I'd answered during our Facebook convos. Like, obscure stuff. What I studied in school, which movie I said I liked as a kid, even the color of the hoodie I wore in a photo I posted 2 years ago. I figured she was just really into me or did some digital stalking, which honestly was kind of flattering. We talked about music, bad dates, and how awkward online dating is. She laughed at my jokes, teased me a little. It felt real, like really real. Around 10:10, she said she needed to go to the bathroom. I told her I'd be right here. She stood up, walked calmly toward the hallway at the back of the store where the restrooms are, and that's when everything started feeling off. At first, I didn't notice anything. I was just sitting there, picking at the last of my fries. But after 5 minutes, I looked around and realized something. The entire dining room was empty. The couple, the laptop guy, the kid, gone. Even the music had changed. It wasn't pop or radio anymore. Just low, ambient static, like the speakers weren't connected to anything. And then I saw him. A security guard I hadn't noticed earlier was leaning near the front door, arms crossed. Maybe early 50s, thick mustache, sharp eyes. He was staring at me, not in a casual way, like really staring. I shifted in my seat, tried to shake it off, but the silence was deafening. Even the kitchen area behind the counter was dark, no clanging, no workers. 10 minutes passed, 15, still no Missy. I pulled out my phone, confused, and that's when I saw it, a new message from Missy. "Hey, I'm sorry, I don't think I can make it tonight. My mom needed the car. I'll make it up to you soon. Promise." Sent. Now, I froze. I stared at that message for a full minute. My skin was cold. My mouth went dry. I started typing, "What are you talking about? You're already here." She replied, "No, I told you I'd be an hour late. I'm still home." My pulse went through the roof. I stood up, heart pounding, and walked toward the bathroom. But before I could get far, the security guard stepped in front of me. "Sir," he said, "we're about to start a maintenance break. This area's closing for an hour." I tried to step past him. "That's fine. I just need to check on someone. My date. She's in the bathroom." He tilted his head slightly. "Sir, I've been standing here the whole time since you came in." I blinked. "What?" "You've been alone the entire time," he said, and I swear his voice dropped a little. "You sat down, ordered food, and started talking to yourself." I backed up. No, she was sitting with me. You had to have seen her. She ordered food. We were talking for an hour. He glanced over to my booth. There was one tray, 1 Coke, 1 open box of nuggets, 1 set of napkins, no McChicken, no second drink. I turned back to him, feeling my throat tighten. You seriously didn't see her? He looked at me. Something changed in his eyes, almost like pity. I thought maybe you were having a bad night. People talk to themselves sometimes, he said. But sir, you were alone. I walked out without another word. I didn't even grab my leftovers. Once outside, I booked an Uber. I couldn't get on my motorcycle. No way. I needed to sit with someone. Anyone. The Uber driver pulled up in 5 minutes. I got in and sat in the front seat, still shaking. I didn't say much, just told him to get me home. That night, I didn't sleep. I kept replaying everything in my head. The conversation, her voice, her laugh, her eyes. It was her. It had to be her. I messaged Missy the next day and told her everything. She freaked out. She even offered to call me just to prove she was real. When we finally met in person at a coffee shop the next week, she looked exactly like I remembered. Same voice, same laugh. But when I told her about that night, every word of it, she went pale. She swore she had no idea who could have shown up. No friends, no pranks. Nothing. I did some digging, tried to access the security camera footage from that night. I called the McDonald's and asked for the manager. They told me the tapes were internal access only and that nothing abnormal was reported that evening. Of course, I never got to see the footage, and I haven't stepped into a McDonald's since. Now, if you're sitting there thinking it was just some hallucination or someone pretending to be her, explain this. The girl I saw knew things only the real Missy would know. Things I never typed. Things I only said in voice notes or quick video chats. How would a stranger know those things? Unless it wasn't a person. Unless something else wore her face. Something that knew I'd be alone. Something that was waiting. All I know is I got lucky that night. Because whatever it was, it let me walk away. But I'll leave you with this. If you ever meet someone online and they seem too perfect, if you feel something off in the room, if you sit across from someone who looks exactly like the person you've been talking to, but something just feels a little off, get up, walk out, and don't look back, because you never know who or what is sitting across from you.